Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a book haul. If this is your first time here, I should point out that this is not a booktube channel. I don't normally do this. This is a writing advice and author tube channel, but because I got a load of books at Christmas, I thought I'd talk a little bit about them and show you the books. The first book that I got is this one, By Force Alone by Lavi Tadar. This is a reimagining of a story about King Arthur, but done in a way that you've probably never seen before. He's an incredibly talented science fiction and fantasy writer with a very unique voice, and all of his books are very, very different. You can't pigeonhole him and say he does this kind of fantasy or that kind of science fiction. Everything he does is usually shocking, different, interesting, so he's definitely a remarkable writer. If I just read a little bit of the back of this one, you'll get an idea of what it's about. The Romans have gone. While their libraries smoulder, roads decay and cities crumble, men with swords pick over civilization's carcass, slaughtering and being slaughtered in turn. This is the story of just such a man. Like the others, he had a sword. He slew until slain. Unlike the others, we remember him. We remember King Arthur. So, very, very different. This is the first of 4 reimaginings that he's done. By Force Alone is the first one. The second one is called The Hood. Obviously, it's going to be about Robin Hood, and I can't wait to see what he does in this and all of the other ones. So I'll be checking out all 4 of these books. This is from Head of Zeus Publishing. The next book I got at Christmas was this one, Babylon's Ashes. This is book 6 in the Expanse series. Now, there are 9 books in total, and book 9 has just come out. There are also a number of short stories that they put out in between and around the others. Those have been now collected, so there will be a 10th volume if you like, but it doesn't continue the story. It's just background on some of the characters. So I've been reading the books in line with the TV series. I would watch the series and then go back and read the books so that I got more, because the stories have diverted in some places, so I always get more from the series. I'm trying not to go ahead. However, the current TV series is the last one, so once I've watched it and read this book, I will then go on and read books 7, 8 and 9. This isn't a spoiler, it's only a minor spoiler, but there's a bit of a time jump at the end of book 6, so the last 3 take place a number of years later. So those can be read, and because the TV series isn't continuing, it's going to be fine. So I'm looking forward to getting into this year. Really can't wait for it. A big fan of the Expanse books and of course the TV series. The next 2 books I got are The Legion of Flame by Anthony Ryan. This is book 2 in the Draconis Memoria series, and The Empire of Ashes, which is book 3. I've already read book 1 in the trilogy. Really, really enjoyed it. It's really, really fantastic. If you hadn't heard about it, you can see obviously from the covers, dragons, there's dragons everywhere. But what he's done is something that I've not seen before anywhere in its fantasy series, where they've sort of made dragons a commodity. People hunt them, and certain people are called bloodborne. If you ingest a small amount of dragon blood, then it gives you certain different abilities depending upon the colours of the dragons. Blue, black, red, green, and so on. So you have people hunting them, you have people making these potions, you have people who are bloodborne that have power. There's also a sort of steampunk with steamships, civilization. There are no kings and queens, but are warring empires, and there's a larger story at play. Really, really good, really unique, really kind of frontier feel to the fantasy series, so I can't wait to wrap up that trilogy this year. The next book I got is not actually a fantasy one, but it's one I've been wanting to read for a while, and this is Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. Now, he's an interesting actor. I've always admired him. He's done some fantastic work over the years, and this is a sort of semi-autobiography where he's kept a journal, I think it's for 30 years, and he's collected them, and it's just talking about his life, his adventures, things he's learned along the way. And hearing him talk about it and his life and in interviews in general, I think he's a fascinating guy. So I don't read a lot of biographies, but this is one I'm definitely going to read. I also got for Christmas the Will Smith biography, and now I've already read this. I needed something just kind of dip in and out over Christmas. And it talks about everything from his childhood right through to his 50th birthday, which was very recently. And it's a great behind the scenes look at who he is, where he came from, how he developed from a rapper into a TV star, into one of the biggest movie stars in the world. But he doesn't shy away from some of the tough things that happen in his life, particularly to do with his father, his upbringing, and some of the bumps and bruises that he suffered along the way with his career, and also later issues with his wife. He had a number of problems, and family was very difficult, and all of that is in there. So that was a really interesting book too. If I haven't already mentioned it, I'm an enormous fan of Robin Hobb. I think she's an incredibly talented writer, and I was lucky enough to meet her a few years ago at a French festival, Les Marginales, and I spent a few days with her talking to her, and it was great fun, and a brilliant writer. So I've been reading a number of her books over the years, and for Christmas I got Dragon Keeper and Dragon Haven. Now these are the first two books in the Rainwild Chronicles. This is about I think it's the third or fourth trilogy that's set within the same world, and they do kind of follow on with some characters moving in and out. You've got the Assassin books, and then you've got the Dragonwild books and Rainwild books that kind of cross over, but they're all set within this same world. So I'm really looking forward to moving on and getting further into that world, because I can't wait to see what happens next. The next book I got for Christmas is Dangerous Visions, edited by Harlan Ellison. This is a collection of science fiction short stories, and as you can see, it's an SF Masterworks one. So there are a number of incredibly top-notch, huge name science fiction authors from the last probably 50 years. In a previous video I spoke about Harlan Ellison, his impact on me over the last few years, and in particular how at the moment he is driving me forward to experiment and try new things and to expand my mind and grow. And I think reading this will really help expose me to some more science fiction, because science fiction probably only comprises about 20, maybe at a push 30% of my reading. Mostly it's fantasy, thrillers, and some other things, biographies and things, but I don't read a lot of sci-fi because I find it quite difficult and dense to get into at times. But I think reading a lot of short stories will really help. I want to write at least half a dozen short stories this year. That's one of my personal writing goals, because I haven't really done a lot of it over the years. So I think getting into this, reading some of the classics, finding out more about some of the brilliant writers and where they came from, and some of the great stories will really help me with my writing. The next one isn't a book, it is a comic. This is Strange Adventures, written by Tom King with art by Mitch Gerards. Now, I'm a big fan of Tom King. He's written comics for DC for a number of years. He did a great run on Batman. He also did Mr. Miracle, which is a 12-issue mini-series, maxi-series, that's probably one of the best comics I've ever read. And this is a DC Black Label one, which means it's not set within its own universe, but it means it's more adult content in nature. Again, this is 12 issues, it's the same creative team. He's taking a character that's not intrinsically linked to the rest of the DC universe. You don't have to know the 40-year history, who did what, who fought with who, and all that kind of thing. He uses the characters to tell a different kind of story. He has something in mind, and he plays to the strengths of the characters, goes somewhere a little different, and really just experiments. And fascinating stuff. So it's 12 issues starting to finish, and I can't wait to read this and see what he comes up with. The last book I got, well, a series of books, which if I can hold up for Christmas, was this one, the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. It's the whole lot, all 7 books, and of course the bonus book, The Wind Through the Keyhole. Now I've put this down now. I've read the first one a number of years ago, and I started on book 2, but I just never really got any further for whatever reason. I'm a big fan of Stephen King. I've read pretty much everything else that he's ever written. This was always one of my biggest gaps. I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I'm a huge fantasy fan. So why haven't I read these sooner? I don't know. So I'm going to dig into them this year. I'm probably not going to finish the whole series this year. I'm going to pace myself and enjoy them. I know Leslie on Nerdy Narrative has read these books recently, and she read The Wind Through the Keyhole later at the end, but the way that it's come in here, you can see it's kind of after book 4 and before book 5, because I think chronologically that's where it's set. But I don't know if I should wait till the end and then read it, or read it in that order. If you read them, let me know which order I should read that one, but we'll see how far I get this year with them. So can't wait to dig into them as well. Those are all the books I got for Christmas. What books did you get? Let me know. Get in touch. I'll be back soon with another writing video very soon.